welcome to AGK's Vinyl Life. I'm your host, Anthony K. And on this week's episode, I'm doing a Vinyl Finds episode. That's right, Vinyl Finds. And this is the first of 3 Vinyl Finds episodes I will be releasing this month, December 2021. And this week's video, I'm going to be concentrating on flea market, thrift store vinyl finds. So this little stack I've got here are all my vinyl finds since used vinyl finds since my summer video that I dropped during my hiatus in the summer. And I believe that vinyl finds video covered vinyl up to the beginning of August. So what I've got in this stack here is basically August, September, October, and November vinyl finds. And then I've got 2 more videos planned after this one, which will be dropping probably the week after and the week after that. I'll be dropping them all in December. And the second of the vinyl finds videos will be new release vinyl finds. So they'll be strictly new studio releases. And then the third vinyl finds will be new remastered or reissued vinyl that I've picked up since my last vinyl finds video of that category. So let's get on with it. So like I said, I got a small pile here, and we're going to be starting off with the first record I picked up over the last few months was ABC Beauty Stab. And I mainly picked this up because I just wanted this, I have ABC's Lexicon of Love is one of my favorite albums from the 80s. And I do love a few songs from this one. And I saw this one at the flea market. This was a flea market find in the $2 bin. And look, it's pretty much mint. It's in gorgeous, gorgeous condition. The vinyl is beautiful. It is an original Canadian first press, maybe Canadian only press. It wasn't as popular as Lexicon of Love, certainly. But I still like this album. It's a great album. I love that cover. What a great cover. And this thing is just mint. And I got it for $2 at the flea market. ABC Beauty Stab. First one up. The next one I picked up, also at the same time as I picked up the ABC, I picked this one also up at the flea market. And this particular album is The Best of Black Oak, Arkansas. That's right, The Best of Black Oak, Arkansas. I always wanted to get some Black Oak, Arkansas in my collection. And I'm a big fan of Ruby Starr, who actually sang with Black Oak, Arkansas. So this was a chance. I saw this one at the flea market, and this one was also in the $2 bins, and this one also is in beautiful, beautiful, beautiful condition, and it's on the Atco label. It's an original Canadian first press, probably only Canadian press, I suspect, but it's the best of Black Oak, Arkansas. Everything you pretty much would want from them, and it's got some great songs on here. Of course, their big hit was Jim Dandy. That opens the album. Hot Nasty I always really liked. There's a great rendition of Taxman on here. And, of course, Son of a Gun, and a great rendition of So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star. Black Oak, Arkansas. And The Best of Black Oak, Arkansas. And a lovely cover, I must add. And you guys know me, I like my cheesecake covers. Great cover. Next up, another flea market find, and it is Grand Funk Hits. And I love Grand Funk. I think they were great. But my experience with Grand Funk growing up was in the 70s, of course, and when I was heavily listening to AM radio, a lot of AM radio, and some FM radio. So the only Grand Funk I was really exposed to were their hits. I never really got into Grand Funk heavily as a band, but I loved all their singles. So for me, this Grand Funk Hits collection is perfect for me, as it has every song that I loved by Grand Funk on it. Though I do have their gold album, We're an American Band. I do have that album as well. But this one right here, this gives me everything I need. All my favorites are on here. This is a Canadian first pressing on the orange and gold Capitol label. And it's in fabulous condition. The cover is great. There is a little, looks like a little, maybe there was a price tag or something here that was peeled off. But other than that, this thing looks absolutely great. The vinyl sounds fantastic. It has the original booklet is still in there. The original booklet and the original inner sleeve. And this one cost me a grand total of $5 at the flea market. And this is a great collection. all the great hits are on here. My personal favorites, of course, when I was growing up, were an American Band. Love that song. Their version of The Locomotion, loved it. Bad Time, love that song. Bad Time. Walk Like a Man, Shining On, Sally, Some Kind of Wonderful, another fantastic song, and more. Grand Funk Hits, another great pickup at the flea market. Next up is also from my favorite flea market. This one came from those first three came from the Mississauga flea market, actually. Those first three I showed you came from the Mississauga flea market, another flea market I go to every once in a while. The next few came from my favorite flea market, the Dixie flea market. And the first one up, and really happy to find this, and this one is in absolute mint condition. And it is the first in a number of things I'm going to be showing you from Genesis and Genesis players. And as people know, I just saw Genesis live last week here in Toronto. A fantastic show. I saw their last Domino tour, as you can see by my hoodie. Last Domino tour. I picked up this hoodie at the show, Genesis, the last Domino. And leading up to the Genesis concert, I'd looked at my Genesis collection and collection of music by ex-members of Genesis and so on and so forth, and saw some holes in my vinyl Genesis collection. I mean, I do have everything Genesis has made in some format, whether it's CD or cassette or whatever, or vinyl. But there were a few holes in my vinyl collection that I've been wanting to fill by either members that have left Genesis or Genesis himself. And so I was lucky in the last few months to fill in most of the holes in my Genesis collection. I only have a couple holes left that I really want to fill, and I'm sure I'll find those records eventually. And the first is this one here. It was a great find. It looks absolutely mint. It is Steve Hackett, Please Don't Touch. Solo album from Steve Hackett, I believe around 1978 or so when this album came out. I nailed it. This one came out in 1978. Steve Hackett, Please Don't Touch. It could very well be the first thing he released after he left Genesis, because of course he left Genesis right around that time. And it's got this is an original Canadian first press with the original cardboard inner liner. And a fabulous record. Really good spin, some great prog rock. Steve Hackett, Please Don't Touch. And next up, I found this one also at my favorite flea market. And this is actually an American pressing. So always happy to find American pressings in Canada. We don't get that many, obviously. Most of the things that were released in the 70s and 80s here in Canada were pressed locally in Canada. So to see American pressings was rare. It's just as rare as seeing UK pressings and German pressings. Maybe not quite as rare as seeing UK and German pressings, but still rare to see American pressings here. So always happy to find an American pressing of something. And this is the Best of Dave Mason. And this is an American first press, the Best of Dave Mason on Columbia. And another group just like Grand Funk, another artist that I'm not big into, but there were quite a few hits by Dave Mason that I liked. And there was one song in particular, being my favorite song of all time, that he did a really great rendition of. And I had this album way back in the day. I had a Canadian press of this album. So happy to find this again. And it's super clean. And the song, of course, that I'm talking about that is my favorite song of all time is All Along the Watchtower. And he does a wonderful version of All Along the Watchtower on this album. But, once again, all his great hits are here. Let It Go, Let It Flow. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? We Just Disagree. Only You Know and I Know. Feeling All Right. This is a really great spin. And this is everything I'd ever want from Dave Mason. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Really happy to find this. And next up, another one from that same Dixie flea market, my favorite flea market. In fact, I think the rest of the stack all comes from the Dixie flea market, if I'm not mistaken. I think there might be one thrift store one in here. But the rest all come from that Dixie flea market, which is my favorite flea market. but not all at the same time. It's been over, I think I've gone 3 times since the summer to the Dixie Flea Market. I try to go once a month to that flea market. And so this next one I picked up is one that I always see every once in a while. And I always say to myself, well, sometime I got to get that. Sometimes I got to get that. Well, I found it in the $2 bin in a really, really excellent copy of it. And it's, of course, Eddie Money. And it's just one of those albums you got to have in your collection. It's a classic. And this one was just too good to be true. It's got the original inner liner. It's on, it's an original Canadian first press on the Columbia label. And it was like mint for $2. I said, I'm going to finally add this to my collection. Because, I mean, we all love, anybody that doesn't is crazy. We all love 2 Tickets to Paradise and Baby Hold On. So, you know, it was just one of those albums I had to add to my collection sometime. Found a fantastic pressing in really, really clean shape for $2. And so, finally in the collection. Next up, another one from that same flea market. It's not called the Dixie Flea Market, actually. It's called the Fantastic Flea Market. And I've given you guys a tour of it in a previous video. It's the Fantastic Flea Market, but it's on Dixie Road. That's why I call it the Dixie Flea Market. And actually, the record seller that's in that flea market is called Dixie Records. So, from Dixie Records in the Fantastic Flea Market, the next one I found, really happy to find this. I'm a huge Bebop Deluxe fan. They are one of my favorite bands of all time. Bill Nelson, fantastic guitar player who fronted and did the vocals and guitar for Bebop Deluxe. Of course, went on after Bebop Deluxe broke up, went on and has done a pile of solo projects. And this is a solo project from the early 80s. Let's see, 1984 actually. This is a solo project from 1984. And this is Bill Nelson and Vista Mix. And this is a great spin. I really, really like this record. And I found this at the Fantastic Flea Market. And this cost me $6. This was actually $6. But I don't mind that this one was $6 because it is a gold stamp promo pressing. So really, really happy to find this gold stamp promo of Bill Nelson's Vista Mix. Fantastic solo album from Bill Nelson. And a gold stamp promo for only $6. And next up, another album from an ex-Genesis member. This member was on the first 2 Genesis albums, from Genesis to Revelation and Trespass, before he left, and I believe was replaced by Steve Hackett. So happy to find this one at the Fantastic Flea Market. This is Anthony Phillips and the Geese and the Ghost. The Geese and the Ghost from Anthony Phillips, solo album from 1977 on Passport Records. So happy to find that. And what I really like about this album a lot is that Phil Collins does vocals on 2 songs on this album, Which Way the Wind Blows and God, If I Saw Her Now. Phil Collins from Genesis, of course, does vocals on that song. And Mike Rutherford also appears on this album all the way through to accompany him. So you got Phil Collins and Mike Rutherford. You got 2 of the 3 remaining Genesis members that are in the current lineup of Genesis now. 2 of the 3 Genesis members guest starring on this wonderful proggy, instrumentally with a little bit of vocals. A lot of instrumental stuff on here and some vocal stuff. Very proggy. And it definitely reminds me a lot of early Genesis, you know, like Nursery Crime, Foxtrot, all those things. Really wonderful spin. Found this at the Fantastic Flea Market, and this one cost me a grand total of $4. And so really happy to have it. And look at it, it's like minty, minty fresh. And next up. Okay, the next 4 I've got here are by an Italian jazz musician. He's a what I would classify as a smooth jazz musician. I love this guy. My mom loved this guy, so I always would play his records for her, and she absolutely loved him. So whenever I see records by him, I always grab them. Most of Fausto's albums were not released outside of Italy, so the Canadian pressings of albums you see here are mostly compilations with songs pulled from his vast library that made up the Canadian releases that were dropped here. But Fausto, of course, has a massive library of close to 60 releases. And I classify him as a smooth jazz musician. He's kind of like the Ventures of jazz. He would play all the whatever songs were famous on the radio, he would do his smooth jazzy performances of. And of course, he's a saxophone player, so he plays sax. And it's all very easy listening, smooth jazz. But I love it. You know what? It's great music when you're working around the house. You got stuff to do. It's great background music. Like I said, my mom loved Fausto, so he'll always hold a special place for me because I know my mom loved his stuff. And so Fausto Papetti, whenever I see his albums in bins anywhere, if I haven't got them, I add them to my collection. So these four make numbers 23, 24, 25, and 26 in my collection. I have 26 Fausto albums now, but a long way from the close to 60 albums that he released in his career. So I was happy to pick up Raccolta number 11, and the Raccolta, as I explained in another video, means hits, collection of hits. So Raccolta number 11, and a lot of his albums were just numbered, 11, 12, 13. He made Raccoltas from 1 to 40, plus, so 40 albums under the Raccolta tag, and then another bunch of albums just under different titles. But this is number 11A, Raccolta, Fausto Papetti sax, 11A. Another great one to add to the collection, and of course this is an Italian import. And the songs on here that were very popular: Golden Slumbers, Ma Bella Me, Al Condor Passa. What else? Airport Love Theme, Na, Hey Hey, Kiss 'Em Goodbye. So some great tracks on here, all smooth jazz. Not for everybody, but I love them. My mom loved them, and that's all that matters. Fausto Papetti number 11A. And next one, also from Italy, Italian pressing of 17A Raccolta. This is the volume number 17, a little more racy of cover on this one. And anybody that's never seen a Italian Durham pressing, they come on this label right here. That's an Italian Durham label. And these are all in fantastic condition. All of these, you can see the covers are minty fresh. Found these at the flea market in fantastic condition. Each one of these was $5, so that was a winner. And the big songs on this one that he covered: Touch Me in the Morning, It Never Rains in Southern California, Live and Let Die, right there, my James Bond theme, Live and Let Die, so that's a winner for me. And My Love from Paul McCartney and Wings. So a lot of great songs on that one. That's number 17A. And then the next two are Canadian pressings from the Canadian series of Fausto Papetti albums that dropped in the 80s here in Canada. And this one's got a little bit of a bum on it. This is Sexy Sax, as they called it in Canada. Sexy Sax by Fausto Papetti. And the ones in Canada were on this Raccolta label. All the Canadian pressings were on this Raccolta label. So this is Sexy Sax. And songs that were popular on this one: Ebb Tide, Unchained Melody, Bilitus, Lady, September in the Morning, Feelings. Great spin. Covers in great condition. And then the last one here, also from that same, another Canadian pressing on the Raccolta label. And this is Fausto Papetti plays Glenn Miller and the Big Bands. So this is all Glenn Miller and Big Bands things. Another sexy, sexy cover. But also from that same series, Fausto Papetti plays Glenn Miller and the Big Bands. So on here, you've got Misty, In a Sentimental Mood, Blue Moon, Moonlight Serenade, Begin the Beguine, Stardust, Over the Rainbow, Laura, Misty. Great stuff. Another great spin. Fausto Papetti, to add to my big Fausto Papetti collection. And so those are all the things I picked up on one trip. This next bunch here, all, except the very last one here, these next 6 or 7 albums I picked up at the fantastic flea market just a few weeks ago in November. These ones I all picked up, and I had a great haul that day. I've got to admit, I am thrilled with the haul that day that I had. I got some real gems in here. And the first one I picked up was Deep Purple, The House of Blue Light. Deep Purple, The House of Blue Light, and found this at the flea market for a grand total of $6. $6 for this one. It is in minty condition. And what's special about this one? Has the original inner liner, but what is really special about this one, it is a German press. That's right. It is a super clean German pressing. Thrilled to find that. I love German pressings of the 70s and 80s. German, Japanese, UK pressings of the 70s and 80s. Absolutely love them. So to find a German, super clean German pressing for $6 of Deep Purple's The House of the Blue Light, with the legendary Deep Purple lineup on this. I think it was the last of the legendary lineup when they reunited to do the Perfect Strangers album and House of the Blue Light album. Fantastic album produced by Roger Glover. House of the Blue Light by Deep Purple. And I'm trying to remember what the big song was on here. Bad Attitude was the big track on this album. Bad Attitude. So thrilled to find this album and a beautiful German pressing. Next up, another one of those albums that I kept saying to myself, you know, I'd see it all the time and it'd be like, Anthony, one day you got to put this in your collection. I used to have this in my collection back in the 80s, and finally back in my collection again. Found this in the $2 bins, and it is a really clean, super clean pressing of Marianne Faithfull's Broken English album, a classic 80s album, and this is an original first Canadian press on the Island label. So really happy to find a clean pressing of that and finally put it back in the collection. And of course, the big songs on here were Broken English, and The Ballad of Lucy Jordan, and that really quite controversial song, Why'd You Do It? But love it. Broken English, Marianne Faithfull, back in the collection for a big $2. And now the next three were a real thrill to find because I found these all that day. And the first I found, and I was thrilled to find this. I was blown away to find this. And I was just talking about this a few minutes ago. Genesis, Trespass, and this one I was shocked to find at the flea market for $5 at the flea market. This is mint. This is absolutely mint. It's on 180 gram vinyl. It's got the insert in here. It's got an insert on 180 gram vinyl. And then when I was looking at it, when I looked at it in the store, I was like, this is heavy for a you know, they were only asking $5. And I'm like, this is pretty heavy for, and I realized it's 180 gram vinyl. And look at that Charisma label. Look at that wonderful, classic, early, rare Charisma label. Well, you know what this is? I looked in the dead wax because I had to know about this pressing. And sure enough, in the dead wax, Miles is inscribed in the dead wax. This is a Miles show, and also in the dead wax, it inscribed in the dead wax is Half Speed Master. This is a Miles Showell Half Speed Master, apparently done in 2008. And this thing has probably never been played. $5, Half Speed Master of Miles Showell's of Genesis Trespass. So absolutely blown away to find this one in the flea market for $5, a Half Speed Master. These things go for $35-40, so this was a thrill. And the second one I found at the flea market is an upgrade to an existing Genesis album I have. I have my original Genesis Live. That was their first live album with Peter Gabriel and company, released just before the Selling England by the Pound album. So it featured song selections from The Knife, Nursery Crime, and Foxtrot. And the first Genesis Live album, I have my original OG Canadian copy that I bought when I was a teenager. And so the cover's looking a little bit beat up, and it's getting a little crackly because I've played it to death because I absolutely love the album. Well, on the flea market, I managed to find this sucker here. Genesis Live. Look at that minty fresh cover. And what's special about this one? It's a UK pressing. That's right, a UK. It's not a first press. It's definitely a reissue because it's on this Charisma label. But still, a UK reissue is better than most pressings out there. So I am thrilled to find this UK reissue. I'd say this is probably an early 80s UK reissue. I haven't stuck it in my Discogs yet, but I'm guessing it's probably an early 80s UK reissue. But it is in pristine condition, so a definite upgrade from my old copy. Thrilled to find this UK copy. Once again, $5 at the flea market, so absolutely thrilled to have that. And then the third Genesis thing I managed to pick up at the flea market that filled in, this one was a hole in my collection. I actually didn't have it on vinyl. And this was actually in the $2 bins, a really, really minty fresh copy of Wind and Wuthering. Wind and Wuthering in the flea market, an original Canadian first press on the Atco label, the yellow Atco label, an original Canadian first press of Wind and Wuthering with the incredible afterglow on it. So, and this was one I'd specifically gone looking for, and I found it for $2 in a really, really, really great condition. This is a VG++. There's just a slight bit of ring wear right there. That's it. That's it. No ring wear on the back at all. The vinyl is clean, clean, clean. $2. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And the last two albums on today's show, real treat. I'm going to save the last one for last, this one for last, and show this one next. So this one here, I found at a thrift store. And I've been looking for a copy of this album for a while now to get on vinyl, because I don't have it. I used to have it on vinyl back in the day, and I haven't had it for years and years. And I've been looking for a few years, but this is one of those albums that when stores get it in, it immediately goes out. It is a very popular Canadian album, and it goes out super fast, so it's hard to find. You don't see copies of it around that often in the thrift stores or flea markets, or even in places like, you know, Rick's Recollections or PCV Records, the stores that I shop at, Sonic Boom. You just don't see copies of it. They go as fast as they come in. And so really happy to find this. And I found this at a thrift store for $3. It is in really clean, clean condition. The cover looks great. Triumph Allied Forces. Finally back in my collection. I was looking forward to the Record Store Day drop of this album this year, because it did come out for Record Store Day. The 40th anniversary of this album dropped. And I was so disappointed when I saw the price of the 40th anniversary box set at over $160, and all you got in it was a picture disc of the album and a double live album and a 7-inch single and a bunch of other junk. So it was way, I talked about this in a box set video. The Triumph 40th anniversary was way overpriced, especially when the main album was a picture disc. So really just happy to have an original Canadian first pressing, that's right, on the Blue Rainbow MCA label, an original Canadian first pressing of Triumph Allied Forces, finally back in my collection. And it was a big $3 at a thrift store not too far from my house. I think was it Goodwill? It was Goodwill or Value Village, one or the other. But thrilled to have it. And last up on the show, from that fantastic flea market, the one I said I was saving, from my last trip to the fantastic flea market, another fabulous find for $5, because most of his albums are in his bins are $5 or $6 or $7. This was maybe this was $6. A fantastic find for $6, and this is Humble Pie's Thunderbox. That's right, Humble Pie Thunderbox. This is a great spin. I love this album, Humble Pie Thunderbox. And I found an original promo copy. That's right, this is a promotional copy. But not only is it a promotional copy, it is a, if I can get out of here, it's a white label promo. So thrilled to find that. $6 at the flea market, white promo copy. Sounds incredible. It's got the original inner with the die cut sleeve and the kind of naughty the kind of naughty pictures on the inside there. That's the original way. That's the original way this album was come out. I believe this album got censored after the first run. But to find an original promo press, and this is an American pressing, a U.S. pressing, a U.S. promo pressing of Humble Pie Thunderbox. That's it. That's all. That's all my vinyl finds for flea markets and thrift stores from August right up to December. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thumbs up always make people feel good. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any of my videos. I try to drop a video like this every week. And thank you for everybody that's subscribed to my channel. I broke that 1,000 subscribers milestone, and thrilled about that. And it's full speed ahead from here on. And comments welcome down below as always. I always reply to every one of my comments. And last but not least, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is at AGK_lifetime of vinyl, where I post my spin of the day every day, among other things. So that's it. That's all. Until my next video, which will be another Vinyl Finds video, which will be new releases from August through to the end of 2021. That's coming up very soon. I'll see you in that video. And until then, like I always say, rock and roll!